Good morning, friends. Good morning, people, loyal audience to this ad hoc rantings program. So today's topic is very simple one. Uh, it's called "You Ain't Jack Kennedy." Uh, you ain't Jack Kennedy. Uh, Now the reason I'm making this video today is because I realized I said it uh, in a video a week ago or two weeks ago. And I thought, there's a pile of memory and of events, a memory pile of events or a stack of events in my mind since that time when that tragic day of debate between Dan Quayle, the vice president, and Bentsen, Bentsen, Bentsen. And that day, uh, I wasn't really aware to the events as much as I am now, or the political landscape or power structure or undertow or undercurrent and so on, which is really the majority of what's going on. If you don't see it, you're not living. And if you see it, then you're not living, but it depends on how you deal with it and how you treat it and how you behave and so on. Uh, Back then, I was, I don't know, 24, 25, and I was a truck driver, right? I wanted to start my own business, so I bought a truck. Oh boy, was that a bad deal. And then I used to go deliver for a delivery company and so on. Uh, so that those times, during that time I was observing things and so on, and they stayed, right? But then when you have such a process of storing a memory or committing to memory events to memory, such as the events that happened back then or before, or and then later in time you make discoveries or begin to understand or sort out, or your vision clarifies, right? I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. Uh, Things that happened in the past that are committed to your memory are explained. And that particular event in which Dan Quayle was dealt an ambush, uh, even though I didn't know the circumstances and I didn't know what's going on behind, the unseen behind the scene, it still bothered me. Every time, this came up, whether on TV or anywhere else, it really bothered me, the way it happened. It hit me within that, this is not what men do, especially if they're related. Related means here, you're Americans, your relative of nationality, your relatives of polity, your relative of allegiance, your relatives of loyalty, your relatives, and so on. So what happened to Dan Quayle back then is as if he and Lloyd Bentsen were two soldiers fighting on the same front, in the same trench. Suddenly, Bentsen pulls back a little bit and shoots Dan Quayle in the back. Now, Dan Quayle, by way of circumstances and origin and sources, and he cannot suspect that this dog called Bentsen, right, the brother of the dog, Bush, or brother of the dog, whoever it is going to pull back and shoot him. Uh, so that was a dark side, dark moment in the American politics that happened back then. I'm gonna go back to those days. I used to drive a truck, and then I began to observe after that debate that certain type of people began to propagate and promote and gloat about that moment, and they were basically attacking Dan Quayle. And you know, when you're in my situation and you go like in my place and you drive onto a loading dock, you want to unload the merchandise or whatever you're transporting, you're not gonna meet the professors, or you're not gonna meet the and then that was in the 80s, right? I think that was in the 80s. And you're not going to late 80s, I think 88 maybe, and you're not going, yeah, 88, yeah, and you're not going to find the most intelligent philosophers, geniuses, period. You know, you find where what you find there is people who are really down on their luck and don't want to learn the profession and whatever it is, and so on and so forth. And basically, they drink their beer, watch the TV, and go sleep. But not all of them. Some of them looked like me, not features, but the colors, right? You know, they're like olive, olive oil color. You know, comes from the Middle East, not even Italy. And they still, one of them still it is in the back of my mind, and I can visualize his face, right? And then I came and gave him the bill of lading, and I wanted to unload, and he immediately started that chat about Dan Quayle, right? He says, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna push the button tomorrow when I am a president," and so on and so on. Like, I was flabbergasted. I was young, you know what? 28, I think. I was 28, maybe 28. And I'm like, I mean, I was frozen. I didn't know what to make of what he's saying, but to me, it was the wrong place, the wrong time. And it really didn't register, really. I found it also, of course, I never engaged the man or that creature who came from the Middle East, I don't know, 1,000 years ago, along with those Muslims, you know. He's not a Muslim. He's not an Arab. Arabs are good people, you know. They respect others. And they don't ambush their own or their friends or their comrades and stab them in the back. You know? So anyways, I didn't say anything really. I just unloaded and moved on. But I began to notice like everybody was gloating, and as if there's a certain class of people wanted to popularize that event. And basically they were in a crescendo, right? To destroy this man, Dan Quayle, who didn't really didn't do anything, and he just lays there wounded by the supposed his own comrade, his own, and it wasn't even, believe me, it wasn't even friendly fire. And then you know, things died down, and until I saw him one time on an interview with this Middle Eastern Irish, get it? Middle Eastern Irish called Chris Matthews, right? Chris Matthews hosted Dan Quayle, and how low quality he is, he brings up this is, you're not Jack Kennedy or whatever that is. Oh man, to me, you know, like there's that look on Dan's face, right? The wounded man, and who's being sprayed with bullets from behind by his own supposed comrade that he's protecting, right? But he, of course, he couldn't see through the TV. But here I am sitting and watching that. Man, it hurt me. I mean, I was hurting for that man. And if I had the chance, and I will retort pretty bad, I will make Chris Matthews and I will divulge his secrets right there on the air, that motherfucker. But nonetheless, let's go back. What happened to you, Dan Quayle, is very simple. You fell within a cabal that looked like you, that talked like you, that behaved like you, but they're not you, Dan. Those bushes, those bent, boo, bush, boo, 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 right? Bal, bo, bal, for, bal'id, da, boo, bent, ben, ba. Oh, I can go on and on. Dan, I can go on and on. That morphing, those Morpheuses, the ones they morphed a few hundred years back. Oh, I can go on and on with those names. Buchanan, 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 Oh, Buchanan. Oh, sorry about that. Bourdain. Oh, Bourdain. Boo. Ba. Bal'id. Balfour. Right? You get it? Okay, good. So, Mr. Dan Quayle, first and foremost, before I continue, hats off, man. You're an American. You're a true American. And you love your country. And when you went up there on the platform, what you didn't know is you were walking into an ambush by some worms, man. An ambush that was designed and plotted and put together by some cabal of lizard eyes and so on and so forth. And why is that, Dan Quayle? It's very simple. They wanted to show that they're white, right? To acquire the base, the white base by votes, by whatever, right? So they choose you. But if you're a vice president, you're going to become a president. So they made sure to destroy you and make you and disable you and paralyze you after they acquired your base. That's all. Here's a secret for you, Dan Quayle. I don't know, maybe you know it by now. Boo. Ben Sain. Boo Kanaan. Boo Cannon. Matthews. Trump. Obama. Graham. Kavanaugh. Netanyahu's. They're all cabal brothers and controlled by the same entity and are allegiant. They're, if you want to call it a beehive, they are bees in the one hive, right? And that's not just feelings. Oh, heavy control there. So you walked in there and your loyalty is to America and you're a gentleman. You came onto that platform for a debate, right? But you considered everybody who's sitting down watching the debate or on TV and that of your opponent as a political opponent, no more or less, but to you, he's an American, right? Oh, what you didn't know is they had like their knives thrown, their daggers thrown behind their back waiting for you. That's all there's to it, man. And I know if you're a president of the United States, and I know if you're able to do any work and defense for the United States, you would do it with full competence, and with full faith and with full loyalty. You, Dan Quayle, the American. I have really nothing else to say, but it shows to me, after I began to realize what's going on, it showed me the nature of that entity that runs under America, that rules America. And believe me, I've come to discover you're not their first victim. Oh, their victims are en masse wherever you go. Wherever you go, their victims are en masse, and the torment and the torture and oh man. So Dan Quayle, hats off. I know you're not the only one. I know there are quite a few in there that are real Americans, real true men. And I will tell you, you're not Jack Kennedy. And what you said in there is not wrong. I admire and the man that Jack Kennedy was. And I think you're not different from him. You would have done the same job. And I can tell you this. Lloyd Bentsen said something like this, that he was a friend of Jack Kennedy. Well, he is of Jack Kennedy's time and date and day and history and age and political career, right? But he ain't Jack Kennedy either, because if he was anything like Jack Kennedy, he would have made it and became a competitor to Jack Kennedy. But he ain't even there. He had to depend, in your case, he had to depend on a plot by Israel to set up an ambush for you, Dan Quayle, in order for him to score anything in that debate, believe me. So, Dan Quayle, uh, I'm gonna stand up. Don't worry, man. Dan Quayle. In the hearts of real men, in the hearts of real men, they know who you are. True American. Hats off.